I'm not going to start with any easy questions.
What would you do if you couldn't fail?
I was vulnerable in the sense of I was just who I was.
In my journey as an entrepreneur, I really found who I am as a human.
I was much more emotionally available to everyone because I was much more balanced.
Finding the grace and the humor in the balance of it all.
Whatever happens in the gut happens in the brain, and whatever happens in the brain happens in the gut.
Do you have a specific morning routine?
I was able to sort of reset my nervous system by getting involved with the cold.
Allow ourselves to have imperfection.
Absolutely had mentors, absolutely 100% had coaches.
A wake-up call to me that I could not try to be something I'm not.
Seeing results of just isolating the breathing was having these tremendous impacts on my physiology.
Work at a gratitude practice.
What the hell am I doing? Can I really do this? Is this really worth it?
90+% of the decisions that we make today actually stem from fear.
When was I proud of myself today?
I think for me, it's really inspiring people to step out. And you don't have to step all the way out.
Then there are these other moments of magic and joy.
If we can just push into discomfort, we actually find that on the other end, there's a lot of benefit.
What's your purpose?
Nothing starts without a plan. Nothing ever goes to plan.
I think we're going to see a new realm of healing that ultimately wasn't available to us.
If we can bring a practice into our lives that helps us be more vulnerable.
So much of entrepreneurship, I truly believe, to anybody on this call is grit.
I got involved with Wim. I just love the guy. He's just a great human. When people are on the path, they shine.
We so often convert things into flaws as opposed to strengths.
We all deserve to be happy, healthy, and strong.
I'm so thrilled that this content is getting out there, that you guys are promoting bold and vulnerable message and aspirations for people, because I hope that we can all really live that every day.
Hey, this is Jessica.
I'm Svetlana, and you're listening to the Bold and Vulnerable podcast,
Where we aim to inspire others to live authentically through sharing the bold and vulnerable stories of peak performers across a variety of industries. Dylan Dunlap is an internationally recognized singer, songwriter, producer, and multi-instrumentalist. He found his love for music at a very young age and started performing on the streets of Los Angeles. Dylan then studied at Berklee College of Music, where he was soon discovered and left to be on NBC's The Voice. Since then, Dylan turned his focus back to his solo career, where he is bridging the gap between pop and indie rock. His powerful live show has been taken on the road, with Dylan touring extensively in Europe and across America, including opening for OneRepublic. Music has been a meaningful outlet for Dylan, as he has gone through many struggles of his own and knows the importance of a helping hand when dealing with mental illness. This is why he has rededicated his efforts as a musician to breaking the stigma and raising awareness. His music and live concert experience address even the one person in the back of the room who might feel like they are alone. In this mission, Dylan has partnered with many organizations, including the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Global Citizen, Autism Rocks, and many more. So, Dylan, I wanted to kind of dig right in here. The music industry is known for rejection and adversity. How have some of your early days as a musician and some of the early no's led to yeses later on, and maybe how has that shaped you?
Okay, well, first off, thank you so much for having me. That's an amazing question. I think that no's are the biggest fuel, I think that it's okay to feel in that stubborn mindset and be upset when you don't get what you want. Like, I've felt like such an array of emotions, and I think it's important to just let yourself feel it. I street performed full time, like you beautifully said in that introduction. And in a way, there was a no every single day, if you want to look at it like that. But at the same time, I now, hindsight, looking back, have realized that everything needed to happen the way that it did. I needed to push myself and respect the rejection I got. And being on that television show was an amazing blessing because of how much of a quote unquote no that was. To be able to go on such a massive platform and then be told no, it's the most amazing thing. I owe it all to that, because I've never been more driven to write and to do that again and to be on bigger stages and just keep pushing myself to do more in the future. So I'm very grateful for all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's that gratitude that's gotten you this far, right? And so when did you start street performing? Because I know you went to Berklee, so did you start performing then? Maybe what were you studying? How did you kind of get turned on to that street performing, and then how did that lead you into kind of deeper?
I bought myself what's called a traveler car in Boston. So I didn't want to eat ramen every night. I wanted to actually have money in college when you don't really have money, as you guys I'm sure know. I bought a traveler guitar and went into the subways and just played the only song I knew how to play, which was Free Fallin' by Tom Petty. It's fun fact, it's like 2 or 3 chords. Really, really fun to start off with that. And then what's beautiful about the subways is that I can literally do the song again and again and understand what works and what doesn't work. And that's how I approached it. And, unfortunately I could only afford 1 year, came back to LA and carried that into my day-to-day routine. I started street performing in Burbank, Santa Monica, 3rd Street Promenade, started creating my own music and realizing what a great way to work on your stage presence. What a great way to work on your demeanor and your musicianship by just doing it in front of people, because nobody's watching you. It's perfect. And when you do get people to come by, it's wonderful, but that's not the priority. The priority is working on yourself and your craft.
So Dylan, I guess, you were street performing. What a perfect way to public speak slash public sing, especially in a world where we have a lot of people coming into stardom straight out of YouTube, right? So they're behind a computer making music, but you were actually out there on the streets. Do you feel like that really helped you gain momentum? Because now it's something where in your bio it's you opened up for OneRepublic, these huge massive shows. Do you feel like that really prepared you?
Absolutely. I think I don't know, I kind of miss it. It's kind of weird to say, just it being me and an instrument and staring at a Starbucks and no one is around for blocks. I don't know, there's a beauty to that. You're really doing it for you, and it's therapeutic. It's incredible. And what's great about the platform to open up for OneRepublic and to be on The Voice and I do these lantern festivals. I just did one in San Francisco a couple nights ago, and that was 5,000 people. And it's honestly, it's everything I could have ever dreamed of. But I do owe it all to the street performing days. I really do miss them. I think they needed to happen. And maybe, I don't know, maybe someday I'll just do a pop-up show. I'll invite everybody and we can reminisce, I guess.
You can just do it. You can just go out now and on a random corner. Why not, right? Just put on a beanie and just go for it.
Put on a beanie.
A hat and just go, just rock on out.
Sounds great. Let me turn around right now.
Just anywhere. Just pull over and go for it.
Yeah, I'm on the 405 South, so maybe not the greatest place for foot traffic.
The closest in and out. Oh no. Yeah, definitely not. Where are you headed, by the way?
In Hermosa Beach. My friend Luke Wade, incredible songwriter. We've been meaning to write for the longest time, so I figured I would just hold myself accountable and show up. So I'm currently driving over there.
So what's that process look like when you're writing? Since you are going to a writing session, what does that look like for you guys? And I'm assuming you write all your music. I think that you do. But what does that process look like?
Zero expectation, right? Walking into something and just he's an incredible singer and I sing as well. And I put out my own music, and it's really just having no expectation walking into it and just trying to create for the sole sake of creating. How can you always keep that mentality? What's tough is this business is way more business than music, than creation. And it's so easy to get distracted. So I think it's up to us to really call ourselves out. And this is me calling myself out. I want to create, and I want to channel all of my thoughts and emotions and everything I'm experiencing right now, all the struggles, and I want to just make something of value with zero expectation of where it can go. So I write every day now. I need it. It's in a way, it's really helping me be able to get through the day.
So how do you navigate the business side of it? You mentioned that, it's way more business. How do you sort of balance the two and the struggle of it?
Acceptance. It's there's a lot you can complain about. There's a lot I could sit here and complain to you about, but I really do think that gets us nowhere. I think that if I really want to do this for a living, if I want to do it full time and be a successful touring artist, I need to take this seriously and I need to adapt. I can't complain that the industry is unforgiving at times, or most times. I can't complain about how the streaming services are not in the songwriter's favor in terms of payouts. Like, I need to have the mentality of, okay, how can I approach this with a healthy mindset? And that's how I navigate my way through the business is I welcome it. I love challenges. I love learning more. And that's the beauty of this, is that there's constantly more to learn and educate yourself and do wrong and then learn from that. Like, it's always available to learn more.
That's a very healthy mindset. I love, that's a really beautiful answer too.
Oh, thanks. Well, I am guilty of being a hypocrite, though. Please know.
We've all been there, obviously, right? We all, we're all guilty of, sometimes we complain, sometimes life just gets you down, right? So how do you keep up that kind of healthy mindset? Because I know that you are really big on mental health and, mental health awareness. What's that been like for you, and how do you sort of maintain a healthy mindset?
Well, I have zero issue being transparent with you. I think it's the hardest thing in the world. That is, to me, it's not an exaggeration. It is.
Yeah.
Navigating my way through my own struggles is quite literally the hardest thing I've ever faced. And I really do think, like I said, the term acceptance, I really do think that you need to just be aware and understand the things that you can't control, because there's a lot, not even about mental illness, not just like, there's a lot in life. There's a lot of things that happen that you have no say in or no control over. And, for me, getting out of bed is really tough. Socializing, talking, communicating with you guys right now, any kind of interaction requires a lot of thought going into it. And I love what I do so much that I'm willing to do it and challenge myself. I don't want to go on, WebMD, look up, I have a migraine. Oh, basically I'm dying, right? Like, I hate that mentality. So when you go on like the internet and search a mental health condition of some sort, you start obsessing over the stigma behind what the internet tells you can and cannot do. And for me, I've been told through the internet that I cannot, have a relationship. I cannot be a public speaker. I cannot be a musician, like all these things. And I'm not doing this as a middle finger to all of that, but I definitely am challenging my beliefs, my ideas about all this, because I don't want to feel hopeless. It's a terrible place to be. I've felt it many times. What a gift to do this as a job and to just take a minute out of every gig and talk about something that matters to me. And if you really believe in the statistic that 1 in 5 adults struggle with a mental health condition, then I'm reaching 20 people, and I'm talking to them and I'm singing to them and I'm looking at them and I want to hug them after the show. And so that's my mentality. That helps me get through it, knowing that I really am not alone in this this battle here.
So this may be really personal and you don't have to answer. I love to go deep. I'm huge on mental health awareness. I've struggled with anxiety and depression. And, I've found the tools and all the right, ways of being able to heal myself and just, channel it in a healthy way. And I still have my struggles. I'm not perfect. I'm pretty sure I have ADD. If you go on WebMD, I'm pretty sure I have ADD, which my cousin, who's a psychologist, tells me is, could be a form of trauma and anxiety. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, right? So what are some of the struggles you've faced? Like what?
Yeah. Thank you for opening up, first off. It's that right there is incredible, and people don't do it enough. So I really do respect you for taking a second to just say that. It's not. I'm telling myself this. It's it's not weakness. It's not you opening up about something that puts you in this negative light. Like I think that's really brave. So thank you. I am just now discovering my issues with ADHD, but as a kid. I found out about obsessive compulsive disorder. I found out about depression and severe anxiety. And, my dad wasn't really around, and he also didn't believe in mental health. So my mom and I kind of just secretly navigated our way through this and tried to figure it out on our own. We may have rushed the process. We may have received the first diagnosis or the multiple ones and just accepted, okay, boom, that's what's wrong with Dylan. For the rest, like, that's it. Cool. Let's take medication. Let's figure this out. And I rushed myself into a lot of different things. And I'm not going to lie. It took 10 years to find out the term, the autistic spectrum, and what that means and how that is so accurate, how I don't believe in self-diagnosing, how I as an adult, I did the research and then spoke to multiple people, and that is the conclusion. And, it was like, it clicked to me. And, but as an adult, finding something like that out, and my dad's voice in my head still saying, like, don't feel, don't cry. I mean, this is a cry for attention. Don't do that. I remember my friend Amelia Schiff, unfortunately, committed suicide in high school, and I just remember telling him about that, and he laughed, but not in the way you're thinking. He laughed in more so like in anger, like, how dare she do that to her family? That is such a selfish, and that's when I realized I can't change people. That right there is when I realized that we can't change how people think and what they believe. That's never going to change. My dad is, to his grave, wherever he is right now, he's going to believe that mental health is a joke. So it's up to me to really accept my conditions, everything I struggle with, and realize I'm never going to get that validation that I need in life from him. I need to accept what I cannot control. And I know that sounds AA. That sounds very, but there's beauty to that. There is some serious, beautiful truth to the idea of no one needs to accept this. Mental illness is not visible. You cannot spot somebody with depression. Mm-hmm. You certainly can't see somebody that's autistic. Mm-hmm. These are, they're internal battles. Yeah, that was just the most important thing I learned, was that I cannot change my dad and what he believes in. And none of us can really change anybody and what they believe. We just have to accept that we can't. We can change our ideas, perspectives, and that is what I constantly strive to do, is learn more and just grow and accept who I am without the need of validation from somebody else.
Yeah. And so you said, you also said you're just learning more, right? So you basically said that the diagnosis is finally, you figured out it's autism on the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just want to say my view on it is, what a gift, right? I know maybe you may disagree, right? But I see these things as really gifts, because some of the most talented, genius people have the most, you would never know, right? Like they have different things going on, and they're also super talented and remarkable people. So what a gift, because you're so talented, and I know that it's not easy, but you're making it work, and you're doing the best you can. We all are.
Oh, well, thank you. I wholeheartedly agree. And I owe a lot to my, first off, obsessive compulsive disorder. I owe so much to how hands-on I am with everything. Reason why I get things done. Jessica was talking about this OneRepublic show, right? And how I got that was by, I don't recommend this, by the way, at all, but not eating, not sleeping, and sitting in front of a computer and gathering support from thousands of people I've met in my life. And that literally brought me to the top of this opportunity, and I won it. And it's not healthy. It's not a healthy mindset, but I wouldn't change a single thing about me and how I'm wired. I really am grateful for the things that I struggle with, because there is a way to think of it as a gift. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely. Like doing all of those, like it's like what you said, it's not exact. You don't recommend it. It's not healthy. And I've been there with certain things. But we can go on and on about this. We might need to do a part 2. But do you feel fulfilled once you get that, that outcome that you're looking for?
Wow, what a question. At times I don't. I am constantly thinking ahead, and that is my demise, I think. That is not being in the moment, not being present, but prioritizing what is important. So that's what I do, is I prioritize, how can I grow from this? How can I learn from this? What can I do next? If I'm on a really big stage and I have this incredible opportunity, I'm thinking, okay, how can we use this as leverage moving forward? How can we change the language in the emails? Because this is important. If you stay obsessed over this one moment where you feel like you've reached it all, you've gotten everything you've wanted, then that's your peak. And I'm 23 years old, and I would really love to not think I've hit my peak. I just constantly want to do more. And the problem with that, though, is I cannot stop and smell the roses. I can't breathe and just think, wow, this is, let myself experience this. This is incredible. But like I said earlier, we're in control over our actions and things and what we believe and what we choose to do in our lives. So regardless of what I struggle with, it's something I don't do enough. I think that mindfulness exercises are the key to life. I think that if I can't be present on a stage in front of 5,000 people 2 nights ago in Northern California, okay, that's fine. I am wired a certain way. But what can I do to at least challenge myself and try to be present? And that's the deep breathing. It's putting the phone down. It's just trying to, maybe that sounds all hippie mindset, but it's crucial. It really does change perspectives. And I'm also never going to be disappointed in myself anymore, because I know that there's only so much in my control, right? Whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whatever it is that anyone hearing this or you guys relate to, there's a lot in your control, and there's also a lot that is not. And being able to tell the difference between the two is everything to me.
Yeah. You mentioned putting your phone down. You mentioned the breathing. What are some other hacks that you have for staying grounded and trying to be in the moment? Maybe even before you go out on stage, like I can imagine the nerves behind that. So like, what are your little hacks, tips, tricks that you do, ticks, whatever they are?
Well, what's funny is there's some crazy things that can happen that can really screw your mindset up. But the other night, I was in a waist-high field of weeds, and I saw a tarantula go into my keyboard case. And as I was on stage, by the way, a spider created a web around my neck. Like it literally spun a web around my neck as I was mid-song. And everything terrible that could have happened. So important, like my allergies. I'm talking to you right now, and I have not been able to breathe out of my nose for 72 hours. I was so badly affected by this gig. That's the real stuff right there. I don't curse on this podcast. That is the real stuff right there. The fact that it's it's comical sometimes. I mean, what an amazing gig. Sure, fantastic. But like everything could be against you at times. It's not going to just be like, oh wow, this is a great gig, I got to breathe through this. No, like this could be a great gig, or this could also be the worst gig ever. But you got to get through it. I had an hour set, and I was sniffling and sneezing between every line of lyrics in every song, and there's no way around that. There's something really cool to laughing about it, if that makes sense. There's something really cool to just being like, okay, this is hilarious, and I have to be professional, and I have to get through this. So, I mean, take away all the unfortunate woodland critters that almost murdered me, and I definitely have bites everywhere. Forget about all that. Let's just talk about mental health and struggling to, let's say, get on a platform, right? Get on a stage and do my job. It's the same mindset. It's the same mindset. Like, hey, I'm not going to quit. I've never canceled a gig. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, this might be what I don't need right now. It's the hardest thing in the world to get on a stage for me every single time. But I just want to be professional. I want to do a good job. I want to know that I worked hard to get through that predicament. And that's how I approach it. I approach with a smile and a laugh, because there comes a point where there's really nothing in your control. But that's my dream. I want to do this, so I'm going to do it.
They say laughter is the best medicine.
I still can't breathe. That was serious. I'm having a hard time breathing right now.
Oh my God.
A mouthful words, you can't breathe. So in terms of your songs, you just had a single come out, Do We Need to Go Out? So I kind of wanted to dig into maybe your first single that you ever put out and the meaning behind that, and then kind of work our way to the single that you just put out and kind of how your music has evolved.
Let's do it. Okay, Microphones and Lenses. That was technically my first single. What that song speaks about is everything we're talking about right now. The idea, I don't want to be a hypocrite when I go on a stage. I want to say I don't have things figured out. If I go to high schools and speak at high schools, which is what I do very frequently, I want to say like, hey, I'm 23. I dropped out of college. Not recommending that, but I don't know what I'm doing. That's fine. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to not be okay. And that's what that song was about. And, carrying into a song called Clockwise came out May 2018. That just goes into the idea of sometimes you can't rely on people, and sometimes you really need to pick yourself up off the ground yourself and tell yourself it's going to be okay, because it's beautiful to have that voice from somebody, but there's a lot of times in life that you're going to be on your own, and you have to push through. Like I was talking about with the horror that was the other night on stage. A few months went by after that. I put out a song called Liar Lover. It's one word, 2 capital L's. That was about, I really opened up about this record deal that I had gone wrong in Boston a few years ago, but I made it sound like a breakup song. And I was really impressed with my co-writers, Ben and Kirk, and what we were able to make out of that, because the three of us experienced just a terrible, terrible situation almost 4 years ago now, and 3 years ago. And
can you dive into that a little bit, maybe, and like what happened there? And
of course, I have zero shame in telling you, I think it's important to be honest. And in all honesty, I was dumb. I chose not to have a lawyer in a situation that definitely asked for one, definitely called for one. And I signed away every single right that I could have had for a record deal, for the tour of a lifetime, for an opportunity to work with one of the most incredible producers that was involved with a lot of Radiohead hits. It was everything I could have ever wanted, and I said yes too quickly, and everything just blew up in our faces. It's comical, like what happened, and I had to make a judgment call, and I cut ties. Unfortunately, I didn't realize the repercussions of what cutting ties would do, so I got sued, and it got really ugly, and I lost every dollar to my name 3 years ago. Every single dollar to my name, trying to fight my way out of this, and I did, and I got back my rights. I went separate ways, in the most polite, professional manner I could have had. And I wouldn't change a single thing. Now, I definitely want to shed light on the fact that I did not make a logical decision. I think it's important to say that. But that being said, hindsight's 2020. I'm sitting here telling you, I have such thick skin now because of that. I really know my worth. I know the people I should work with, what I deserve, and I owe it all to the just the hardest year of my career, 2016. I owe it all to that. We're thankful that we were able to channel this into a song and be able to just use music as a form of therapy. And thankfully, people really enjoyed that one, and that's cool. But there's beauty to the song before it releases, when it's just yours. It's just yours. You play it to yourself, play it at gigs, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, I want to hear that." And you say, "You can't. It's not out. This is mine." And then you give it to the world, and forever, it's definitely there. And Liar Lover holds it. I mean, I hold it. I care so much about that song and what it took to write it, and it still blows my mind that it's just there. It's sitting there for people to listen to. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. And I feel like there's some people out there in the music industry that are, waiting for somebody like you to come along, to not have a lawyer, like waiting. I mean, I've just heard this story and before, and it's like so many. I feel like people are out there trying to get musicians, to be honest, because they know that you'll sign something. They know that you'll get excited. They play off of naivety and whatever it is. So, I commend you for fighting back and for, gaining your rights back in just that short amount of time, because I think some people fight 10-year battles with stuff like that.
I'm gonna tell you something that I couldn't have said 3 years ago, and that's for every shark, for every person that wants to just ruin you, I do believe there is a person that wants to help you. And I really do think it's 50-50. I mean, I'm from LA, born and raised here, very jaded, constantly trying to leave. I struggle every day thinking about the people and the connections and the God. But what an amazing thing to go to bed at night thinking about. The fact that, I experienced a really unfortunate situation, but oh my God, look at the support I have. Look at the people that would never do that. Look at the people loving me. Look at the people that stuck around during that, dealt with my crazy breakdowns and just my inability to I mean, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was owned in perpetuity. And what an amazing thing after all this, there are really good people out there, because we could talk for hours. I'm sure you guys have met, we've all met terrible people. We've all met people that have certain intentions. I don't mean to say terrible people. I mean, we've all met people that have their ulterior motives. That's a great way to put it. And that's fine. It's okay. I mean, we learn from that. That cheesy quote that you're told as a kid about how you are who you surround yourself with is arguably the best thing I think I've ever heard. It's so important.
Yeah. Who are you surrounding yourself with these days? Who's your support system and your backbone, and who are the people that light you up?
Well, my mother is a superhero. She's been through just so much, and we kind of have this unspoken understanding about that, like how much her and I have seen together and apart, and just I'm constantly working, so I don't really go out often in terms of go for drinks or something. I'm just constantly trying to better my craft, and so that means I work with people way more than I hang out with people. And the thing is, I used to be the biggest introvert I've ever met is me, but I'm putting in the work and I'm putting in the 10,000 hours, and I have so much pride in what I do and how seriously I take it. And I mean, Kirk, Adolf, my guitarist. He also does all the graphic design online. Ben Zellico, my drummer, who also produces and mixes my music. We're like brothers, and we also work together.
Amazing.
And so it's the best of both worlds.
What a cool team. So it's just you, you're singing, you're playing the piano or keyboard, and then you have a drummer and a guitarist as well?
It goes by my name, so I'm grateful to be a solo artist, but every time I can, I will involve those three guys, because they are just the most kind-hearted, most talented people I've ever met. But, obviously not every gig calls for a full band. It depends on the budget. It depends on I want to make sure they're taken care of. They feel respected, and like their time was respected. So, yes, it is just those three, sometimes just one or two of them. That's the beauty is we can try different things out. And it's not like we're lacking because we're not a full band, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Can you say what was the other guy's name? Joey Clement?
Joey Clement.
Clement. Okay. Yeah. Just want to make sure we get his name.
Absolutely.
You said something interesting. You said 10,000 hours, and that reminded me of Macklemore. And I don't know if you're a fan of his, but I'm a huge, huge fan.
Of course.
Yeah, I met him when he was. I mean, he doesn't know this, but I met him when he didn't even blow up yet, and he was like driving around his bus in his like fur coat and everything with Ryan Lewis, and I was like, who is this? I was a little judgy, 23-year-old at the time that was like, who are you, and then I was like, oh my God, like that's the guy that I heard on the radio, and then I realized, oh my God, he's, you're so talented. But he has a song, it reminded me about his own situation. I'm sure you know what it is, and I forgot what it's called because we talked about this. My thing with names about a whole producer thing that happened with him as well. I don't know if you can recall the name of the song, but I'll maybe when I'm.
Oh man, I remember what you're talking about. 100%.
Yeah, he talks about that, like a record deal, like how they tried to like screw him over. But it reminded me of the whole situation that you brought up in the 10,000 hours. So I thought that was interesting.
That's a great song by Macklemore. 10,000 hours.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, his music, he's great. But I wanted to ask you, because Jess said, how do you, like, who do you surround yourself with, and you're usually working and putting in the hours. But how do you feed your soul?
I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to bring up any brands, but I have this membership with a movie theater chain that involves me to see as many movies as I want for a really small monthly fee. And for me, let me explain that so you don't think I'm crazy. I think movies are crucial. I think they're the dying breed of one of the last socially acceptable times where you need to put your phone away. And if you have your phone out, you'll be screamed at. If you go to a concert, everyone has their phones out, and it's good because the artist wants that, because that's more exposure. But with a film, you're sitting down for 2 hours. You have to put your phone away. You put it on airplane or whatever, turn it off, or just let it vibrate in your pants. It doesn't matter. Like, just you can't look at it. And my entire job is my phone. Everything is my phone. Even songwriting involves our phones now, and I'm so thankful for that. Maybe I get it from my dad because he took me to see every movie every weekend. When I was a kid, but I have so much pride in saying that I see every single movie that comes out. Anything that's out right now, I've seen it. I love films because it is a form of art that and I'm not being self-deprecating when I say I'm not going to have a career in. I don't want to be a filmmaker. I don't want to act. Yeah, sure, I love my music in films, but I want to appreciate art that I know nothing about, because there's so many different forms of art. And for me, it's cinema. Having seen that Avengers film now 4 times, I am just obsessed with the power, the magic of a movie and what it can do to you. And that's my release. That is my one release. Is I'm trying to read more. I got the Harry Potter series. I've never read them, but films really do allow me to shut my brain off. You know, I heard this quote the other day about how there literally 10,000 thoughts enter your brain every day. 10,000. And I mean, that's the gift and the curse with what I struggle with is my brain it never stops. You know, it's constantly moving. It's a shark. It'll die if it stops. But there's something about seeing a movie that really allows me to just be in the moment, to do these things that I've dreamed about doing. Just be present and enjoy this and go back to your life in a couple hours.
And you can go into a different world, which I love about, you know, cinema, and you kind of you can let yourself go into that world no matter what it is. I'm so glad you shared that, because actually we've interviewed quite a few people and nobody has said cinema as their kind of release. So I love that. What's your favorite movie of all time? Do you have any favorites?
Oh God. What's yours?
Mine first. So I'm gonna kick it back to childhood. I used to watch All Dogs Go to Heaven like on repeat when I was a kid.
Oh my God.
Like, and I don't even have a dog, nor like I have a cat. Like I'm not even like really a dog person, but that movie for some reason I was just, and I just kept watching it on repeat. So that's the childhood version, but I'm really into like black and whites. I'm a huge Humphrey Bogart fan, so that's my jam. That's where I jam out.
Wow. I love it. Okay, that's 1 out of 2.
I was like, All Dogs Go to Heaven to Casablanca. What about you, Svetlana?
Oh man. So honestly, the first one that pops into my head, and I think it's because I've watched it like a million times because I'm a huge cinema. I mean, I love cinema. That's I have an acting background. I just love to watch cinematography, the acting. Like I'm always again, let me just say the fact that you said that's your release and what feeds your soul I think that's awesome. Everybody, it doesn't have to be meditation. It doesn't have to be, you know, these things that everybody else does, whatever works for you. So anyways, the movie that popped into my head was Armageddon. I know, because I've seen it like a million times and I'm always like, I mean, it's just such a tearjerker.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. And it's always, whenever it's on, it's like, well, I'm not getting out of bed. I'm just going to sit here and, you know, going to give myself a good cry. And
the soundtrack. Oh
my God.
Yeah. I mean,
that
Steven
was
you can't beat that, right?
No. And I'm obsessed
Steven Tyler.
I'm obsessed with Aerosmith because that was like the band that my dad and I jammed out to when I was younger. So I think that exactly, Jess, you hit it on the nail, like the soundtrack.
Well, first off, was that Michael Bay? Armageddon was Michael Bay, right?
That directed it?
Yeah, I think.
Maybe. Let me check right now, just because I'm curious.
Yeah, that film is great. I, for some reason, love Michael Bay. I mean, it's just so many explosions, and Transformers is sensory overload. But I don't know, something about his directing.
You're right, Michael Bay.
Sweet. If you guys are ever at a bar and you're doing trivia night and they ask it's something about movies and you can't figure it out, I hope you'll call me.
Yeah, and I mean Michael Bay directed Pearl Harbor, which is one of my favorites too. I'm picking all these sad ones, but
oh my God, Pearl Harbor. That, you know what? Don't hate me. I've never seen it.
Oh, are you kidding me? All right, well that's got to go on your watch list.
we got to
Yikes.
now so you can go watch it.
Yeah.
Actually, we got to end this podcast now. That was the worst. Haven't seen Pearl Harbor. Okay, for me, it's something about 2014's Whiplash. Have you guys seen Whiplash? J.K. Simmons, Miles Teller. It's about a music conservatory and like the most toxic relationship between a professor and a student.
Yes. What a great freaking movie. God, so good.
Oh my God. Honestly, I think it was near perfect. I don't know, but that's the thing. You can't really ask me this question because I don't hate movies.
You've
Maybe
watched
I
many. No, there's
maybe
not
I
too many. But yeah.
kind of hated The Hustle with Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. No, like maybe I kind of hated that, but like in general, I don't hate films. I walk into it with zero expectation because I love the therapeutic aspect. So I don't really care if I leave it just having not enjoyed it. I still enjoyed the experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And, I know we were just referencing back to like Aerosmith, and I'm curious, like, what were your early music influences? And, how did you kind of get into this indie rock type of a category, and kind of what were those early influences?
The first song that blew me away, just blew me out of the water, was The Scientist by Coldplay. And I remember, it's weird. I mean, I remember where I was. It's the beauty of art, right? Like, it's nostalgic. You can look back and go, wow, I felt a certain thing at that time. That this takes me back entirely. And for some reason, it was that song. And Chris Martin is everything I could ever hope to be. I mean, he's just the most inspiring, good person. And the music is what they want, and they don't care about anything else. And you can tell, like, these guys love each other. And I will recommend, if you guys have an hour and a half, there's a documentary on Amazon called A Head Full of Dreams, and it's about their most recent tour, 2017. And I cried so many times. So Coldplay has regardless of how you might feel about them, if you like them or you don't like them, for some reason they just hold this really important place in my heart. For why I decided to do music as a job. But, man, my dad was a big Led Zeppelin fan. The Who. He hated the Beatles, so unfortunately I never really got into them, because you are what you're shown. I really do believe that. You are what you are presented as a kid. So it doesn't mean I hate the Beatles. It just means I was never exposed to them. So to this day, I still need to give myself the opportunity to sit down and actually listen to their discography, because they are arguably the most influential band of all time. And that's the beauty of being an adult. You can do whatever you want and actually call yourself out and challenge yourself. And I'm really excited to do that, because I only know their singles. I don't know their full albums. And I really do think I should experience that.
I'm actually a Coldplay. I like Coldplay, so I don't have anything against them. But this is interesting. Before I realized that you opened for OneRepublic, when I listened to your music, I texted Jess and I said, your sound, like, how every artist, there's always, they always kind of remind you of someone, right? Their voice. Has anyone ever told you
Sure, yeah.
your artistry, like your voice reminds them a little bit of OneRepublic? The lead singer of OneRepublic?
Ryan Tedder?
Yeah.
You know what? I've been told that. It's flattering to hear that, so thank you.
Yeah, that was the first person that popped into my head, because I was listening to your music and I'm like, who does he remind me of?
Well, I'm thankful for that, because it just kind of hits home that gig we did was a good fit, if that makes sense. I want to open up for, I can name dozens of bands right now, but I'm really thankful that for all the gigs that got that far, like that right there, that was the gig, right? Last year. I'm thankful that my genre, my original music sounded like it fit before theirs. So I think that's the biggest compliment I received from that opportunity, was the fact that, oh yeah, you sound like that opening act. Like, you sound like a good opening act for them. The last thing I want to be is not the right sound.
Yeah, and that helped your fan base as well, because if you're a completely different sound from what people are going to that show for, then they're going to be kind of like annoyed, right? But instead, they're like, oh, this guy's really great. I've never heard this. Who is this? And that's like your fan base. That's who you want to be listening to your music. So that's just a huge opportunity. And I feel it's such a wonderful story to hear you go from, the world of reality TV, getting that big no, to just staying hungry continuing to hustle. And I'm telling you, I mean, you were hustling for that opportunity, and I did vote for you, my mom and my sister. We went on, I got your message and I was like, let's do this. So, I mean, I you go after things and you're like, I want to do this competition. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you really go after it. And I think people in the industry need to know that it's about the hustle. It's about staying hungry despite criticism. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about using your little life hacks, like going to the movies or whatever you need to do to release and to get present, to get grounded. And that's what it's all about. So, I mean, you're so young. You mentioned you're 23. I keep forgetting that you're that young because you carry yourself with such maturity. So you're so young. You have so much more ahead of you. So let's talk about your single now. Let's get to the present. Like, I know we're kind of getting there, but what's this new single about? And yeah, let's kind of dig into that so we can let the listeners know what they are expecting from you in your current music.
Of course, there's a new song. It's called "Do We Need to Go Out?" with a question mark, and it came out on May 3rd. So that will make it a week and a half ago. That is crazy to think about, as Ben and I spent like 18 months getting 49 mixes of that song. It's crazy. Like I said earlier, you know, it's an interesting thought, realizing, oh, this is everybody else's now. It's no longer mine. I can't like bring it up on stage and have it be this super special, intimate moment. Like it's everybody's, and that's okay. That's important. So I'm kind of just like shocked at the comments I've received. It's just really cool to see people in these videos, like just dancing along and having a great. It's the first song that I have that is fun, truly. It's something to dance to, something to really just not think too much. But if you want to read these lyrics, you want to, hold on one second. Sorry, I am picking up a coffee for this session. Okay. You got to stay caffeinated. How much do you guys drink coffee?
I love this.
Yeah.
Of course we do. I have a coffee in my hand right now.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. I just got the coffee, so I'm good now. I just picked it up, spent the money on it. Now I'm outside. God, it's a crazy morning. Do we need to go out now? Yeah, like I just said, I mean, you don't really need to think too much. Just have a great time and listen to it. But if you want to read the lyrics, if you want to really sit down and understand what is Dylan talking about, it talks about financial insecurities. It talks about really not being able to feel like you have much to offer in a relationship when you're dating somebody. And it's going through the emotions, letting yourself feel that way. There's a lyric in the pre-chorus that says, I wonder when I've counted all my worth today, if I could let the number simply fade away. And I remember being in this terrible shoebox North Hollywood apartment a year and a half ago, coming up with that line, thinking, wow, that would be incredible. Because a part of my OCD is that I constantly check my bank account app just to get these updates, just to understand, okay, this is where I'm at. Okay, cool. It's actually really responsible, but at the same time, it's very, very obsessive. And I thought to myself, wow, this would be so amazing if I could just check it and not care. Like, sure, validate the need to do it, the tick, for lack of a better word, the tick of taking the phone out, checking it. But then when I see whatever number that is, who cares? It doesn't matter if it's not where you want to be right now. That's fine. Or if it's like a decent spot and now you're obsessing, oh, I need more, because that's what we do as human beings. We just want more. So that's what Do We Need to Go Out is about, is really just trying to be in the moment and present with somebody, and maybe not involving going out and spending a ton of money, maybe finding peace and staying inside and all of the amazing things that you can do with no budget.
That's amazing. As you pick up a coffee. Don't check your bank account right now.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my God. I literally, I'm so happy I didn't explain that to the clerk at 7-Eleven just now. He would have been so confused.
Oh my God. I think that's like a comforting thing too, to keep checking. Like, I'm doing the same thing all the time. And it's like, it's that you hit something there when you said, we always want more. We're checking, but like, we always want to be at that place where we feel comfort or whatever it is. And, I think it's Brene Brown who says, if you're uncomfortable, that's when you're growing. That's when you're going to feel fulfillment. So you have to get into that place of discomfort to feel that kind of bravery. So even with finances. So I commend you for checking it, but get your coffee, treat yourself.
Treat yourself always is the moral of this story and podcast.
Yes. Exactly. So Dylan, where can people find you? Where should we send people like your website? What social media are you using? Where can we send people to follow you and follow your journey?
Great. You can find me at the nearest Chipotle closest to you.
Where you'll be doing
I don't care where.
Is that where you'll be doing your street performance, right? That's
my next gig. I'm actually doing a Chipotle tour. I'm just busting out a guitar
Sponsored
and annoying everybody in line. It's sponsored by Chipotle. No, I actually have a great relationship with them. They've been very kind on tours. But in terms of where you can find me, virtually, just search I am Dylan Dunlap. IAM DYLAN on any platform, really. There's music on every single streaming service. You can buy it on iTunes. You can stream it. You can, if you can't afford it, let me know and I'll send the files. Whatever I can do to support somebody that wants to listen, I will help any way I can. Yeah, I think it's important to close on this note. The fact that I am not a trained professional, right? I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, but I really do love just opening the conversation because there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with just speaking up more and more importantly, listening more. Listening to people more is something I always want to work on doing in my life. So I do tour schools and I play a song or two, but I talk for a little bit about my story, my upbringing, and that's something I always make sure to say at the end is I don't have it all figured out. That's okay. And I just want to talk about this more because it does help me in the end as well. So whether that's a DM or an anonymous, whatever, I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to give out whatever information I can give to keep this conversation going so somebody out there doesn't need to feel alone in their fight because it is crippling, and that is exactly what it does. Is it actually makes you feel like you're the only person in this entire world that is struggling with this. But what a beautiful thing it is to realize that there is someone else that gets you. Maybe you haven't even met him. Maybe it's me, and whoever's listening to this reaches out to me, or maybe it's not. But having heard this sparks the idea of talking to someone close to you. That matters so much to me right there. Just recognizing the people in your life and their purpose and how, we should just talk to each other more.
Absolutely. And that was so beautifully said.
Yeah, beautiful. And that's a beautiful way to close out.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on this. I had such a great time. It's always nice to just not have a time limit and talk probably too much about Armageddon and Michael Bay, but that's fine.
No, this was amazing. This was great. Thank you so much for coming on and, being so vulnerable with us and sharing your story. I truly honor that. And we both really appreciate it. It's definitely, it's not exactly the easiest thing, right? To be so open and raw, right? But, that's your superpower. That's our superpower. All of us. So.
Thank you.
I agree so much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Bold and Vulnerable podcast. For more information on today's speaker, please visit us at boldandvulnerablepodcast.com.
And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Let's keep spreading the love by being bold and vulnerable. Thank you. We love you.